So if you're anything like me, I love a good playlist. Like, oh my God, I will die for a good playlist. I got a good playlist for when I walk. I got a good playlist for when I cook. I got a good playlist for when I'm playing around the house with the kids. I got a good Sunday, Saturday playlist for those times where I have to clean up. And I even got a couple of playlists for the classroom. Yeah, I have a playlist for when I'm in the classroom with my students. And one of the cool things about it is I learn a lot about my students from what's on their playlist. So I'm going to walk you through in this video how to create a collaborative playlist for your classroom and how to continuously learn about your students, about their culture, about their community, and about what inspires them through a playlist activity. So let me go through it with you. So one of the things that I do with my students at the beginning of the year, because that's where, well, relationship building should happen all throughout the year, but I prioritize it at the start of school. And so one of the ways that I start building those relationships with students is by us sharing what's on their playlist. Now, if we all want to be honest with ourselves, our playlist tells a lot about us. It tells the music that's on it tells us when we're happy. It can tell about why we're feeling blue. It can tell about when we're in a good mood. Me, when I'm trying to get down to business, if you know I got a good Nipsey Hussle song on, that means I'm about to take care of business and get some things done. So one of the things that I start the school year off is what's on your playlist activity. And for this activity, what I have students do is I have them first pick their favorite song. Like at that moment, what is their overall favorite song? And then I have them take a verse from that, like the line that those couple of bars that you know committed to memory by heart, like, oh, this is my part right there. I have them write that part down on this handout. And then after they write that verse from their favorite song, I want to know, like, what is it about this verse? What does this verse say about you? How does it speak to you? Okay, so after those students independently do those three parts, then I put them into groups. And in their small groups, they share the different verses. They share their song first, and then they share the different verses and what that verse from that song says about them. And then from there, I challenge my students to take all of the verses from their individual songs and put them together to make one unique new song that they have to present to the class if they're brave. And what does this new song that they've created say about them? Okay, so once my students turn in the what's on their playlist, and we do this activity every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, I find a way to kind of bring it back and incorporate it. And trust me, they will remind you, hey, Miss T, Miss Terry, can we update our playlist? So I use this as a way to just kind of check in with them, see how they're feeling, maybe ask them about some of the songs that's on their playlist, and then keep the class going. And so like I said, we update this what's on your playlist every 3 to 4 weeks, every 6 weeks. I just, once again, I'm very intentional about embedding it in there and constantly because our music changes. So once they turn this in, then I go through and I read every one of my students' responses and I build the playlist for them. Now, recently I discovered on Spotify that you can collaborate and build playlists together versus one person having to build a playlist. So I'm going to walk you guys through how to build a collaborative playlist using Spotify and how to share that with your students so you can constantly know what's on their playlist. So let's jump into it. So if you can see the screen, on the screen, you'll see down in the bottom corner of Spotify, if you click new playlist, that is going to bring you to where it says create a playlist. So first we want to name our playlist. So my playlist is going to be Ms. T US history course, just to be general, and playlist for history. Okay, and now I'm going to choose an image. Now, usually the image that I choose is a screenshot of my class. So like I'll usually take my cell phone, say everybody say cheese, and then we cheese, click. And then I take that picture and I upload it. So that way I have the class to put with the playlist. So we want to create the playlist. Now we want to find music that is going to go on the playlist. So one song that one of my students gave me last year that really told me a lot about the student was Oodles and Noodles. So I'm going to click Oodles and Noodles, and I want to add Oodles and Noodles to the playlist. So if I click these three buttons here, I'm going to go down and I want to add it to the playlist. Now, here's one of the things when it comes to what type of music is on the playlist. I tell my students to stay away from the explicit music and try to give me the clean version, okay? So usually if you type in, when you're searching, if you type in Oodles and Noodles clean, it'll pull up the clean version. So I'm going to go add to Mrs. T's U.S. History playlist, right? And it is going to now be on my U.S. History playlist. Let's try to add another one. Dedication. I like that song by Nipsey Hussle. And so let's go click there. We're not going to play it. And we are going to add that to Mrs. T's U.S. History playlist. Okay. Now I want to check and make sure it's on my playlist. So go home and here we are. Oodles and Noodle Babies and Dedication is on my playlist. So now remember, we can add the songs to our playlist as we're getting to know about our students and reading their what's on your playlist handouts. But I want to make this playlist collaborative so that way I'm not always responsible for updating the music and changing the music. So how do I make it collaborative? So what I want to do is I'm going to click on the three buttons and I want to make this a collaborative playlist. So I'm going to click collaborative playlist. And when you see that dot appear to the left of the title of the playlist, it'll tell you that that's now collaborative. Okay. So how do I get it to my students? What I want to do now that it's collaborative, I want to share my playlist. So I'm going to go share and I want to get a copy of the playlist link. So now I am going to go to my Google Classroom, and in my Google Classroom, I am going to share, add to your playlist. And I'm going to put our playlist because it's a class playlist. And I would get more detailed than this. And I want to add a link and I'm going to post the link and it is going to post. Now, what does it look like on the student's end? So I'm going to go to my account where here I am in my classroom as a student. Let me make sure that activity posted and that's so they can see it. So now I'm going to go to my account where I'm a student and there it is. It's added to our playlist. So I'm going to click that. And now here's the deal. I am now logged in as myself. So I'm going to log out of this and I'm going to log into my Twisted Teaching account. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this link here. And clicking on this link is going to take me to the playlist that was shared to me. Now, here's the deal. Previously, I was under my personal account for Spotify and I created a dummy account for Spotify so that way you guys can see what it looks like on my end. So the account was created by Alexis Terry and now I am under Twisted Teaching. So you can see that two different people have access to this account now. So now as a student, I want to be able to add music to this playlist so that way I can keep it going. So now that I have access to Mrs. T's U.S. History playlist, what I want to do is I want to save this playlist to my library. So when I save this playlist to my library, now as a student, I can add music to this playlist. And I'll see that this playlist is going to pop up on my left-hand bar where that way I can see where all of my playlists are located. So now I want to add a song to my playlist, okay? And so I have already added the playlist to my own playlist by favoriting it. And so now that it's favorite, it's showing up on my side panel with the rest of my playlist, okay? So now I want to add a song to my playlist. So I'm going to add the box. Now, this is to add songs to a playlist. I find it that it's easier to do it through the Spotify app versus being able to do it through the desktop version. So if your students are on the desktop version, they're saying, oh, miss, I'm having trouble adding it to the app, push them, or adding it to the playlist, push them to the desktop version. Okay, so I want to put the box there and I want to go add to a playlist. Now you're going to see that all of the playlists that I have are going to appear. So I'm going to hit Miss T playlist and it should be added to the playlist. So let's go and check. So I click Miss T's playlist and there it is, the box. So I'm going to log out of here and I'm going to log in under my Alexis Terry 2 because that's where I created the playlist. And I want to see if their song that they added is there. And it is there. So that is how you create a playlist in Spotify and share it with your students. In that way, your students can collaborate and add what's constantly on their playlist to the class playlist. So here's a couple of things. One of the things is, one of the reasons why I use Spotify is because Spotify can be accessed whether you have an Android phone or an Apple phone. There is an app and there's a desktop version. And so Spotify is just an easier way to ensure that every student has access to it no matter what device. Again, with the playlist, I allow whatever song you want to put on the playlist, feel free to put it on the playlist. I just ask that it is the clean version of the song, but you can set what parameters you want your students to operate within. Another thing is, when do we listen to the playlist? I play the playlist before class. I play their playlist during class while they're doing independent work or while they're doing group work. And I use this playlist to also select students who I want to present something to the class. Or if I have a hard time getting students engaged or wanting to share out, then I say, okay, if your song comes on, you have to stand up and share. The What's on Your Playlist activity is a great way to build relationships with your students and get to know your students. So don't be afraid in your classroom to ask students what's on their playlist and then take what's on their playlist to build a class playlist. Trust me, you may even find yourself listening to this playlist on your way home. I'm guilty. That's me. All right. I hope that this twisted tip was helpful. Bye-bye.